The strongest people aren't those who always win, but those who never give up, no matter how many times they fall. Let that sink in for a second. Now ask yourself, how many times have you found yourself facing challenges alone? How many times have you struggled without anyone by your side? How many times did it feel like no one believed in you, or that you were just out there figuring it all out by yourself? I'm here to tell you those very struggles are what set you up for greatness. The journey isn't always easy, and it's certainly not always comfortable. But once you understand that facing life alone, whether you're starting, struggling, or even failing, is the key to building a strength that can't be broken, you'll realize that nothing can stop you. In today's video, we're going to break down how those tough, lonely moments can transform you into someone who is not just strong, but unstoppable. If you've ever questioned whether you're on the right path, or if you've ever felt like giving up, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a renewed sense of purpose and strength. You'll understand why nothing and no one can hold you back once you've conquered the hardest battles on your own. So let's dive in and get started. Number 1, the power of starting alone, turning isolation into strength. There comes a time in life when you have to make a choice to start, even if you have to start alone, a choice to move forward, even when no one is there to cheer you on. Most people don't like being alone. They don't like the idea of walking a path where nobody is watching, where nobody is clapping for them. But let me tell you something. If you wait for others to believe in you before you start, you might wait forever. Success doesn't begin with a crowd. It doesn't begin with support. It begins with you. It begins the moment you decide that you are willing to take the first step, even if you're the only one on the road. Because let me tell you, if you can start alone, you are already ahead of most people. People hesitate because they don't want to feel isolated. They don't want to feel like they are the only ones struggling. They want company. They want validation. But the truth is, when you start alone, something powerful happens. You learn how to depend on yourself. You learn how to trust your own decisions. You learn how to push forward, even when nobody is watching. And that's a skill most people never develop. Think about it. Look around, and you'll see people waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to go after their dreams. But the people who achieve great things, they don't wait. They start, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's scary, even when they have no guarantee of success. Because that's what separates those who make it from those who don't. Now let's talk about isolation. See, most people think being alone is a bad thing. They think it means nobody cares, that nobody believes in them. But the truth is, isolation is one of the greatest gifts you can have when you're starting out. Because it forces you to focus. It forces you to grow. It forces you to rely on yourself, instead of looking for approval from others. In isolation, you don't have distractions. You don't have opinions pulling you in different directions. You don't have people telling you what you should or shouldn't do. It's just you and your goal. And that's where real progress happens. But here's the catch. Most people won't understand your journey. When you start alone, you'll hear things like, "Why are you doing this? Are you sure this is a good idea? Maybe you should wait until you have more support." And that's exactly why isolation is so important. Because if you listen to those voices, you'll stop before you even begin. The greatest leaders, the greatest thinkers, the greatest achievers, they all started alone. They all went through a period where nobody understood what they were doing. They faced doubt. They faced criticism. They faced moments where they felt like giving up, but they kept going. And eventually the world caught up. That's how it works. First they ignore you, then they doubt you, then they watch you, and then one day they ask you how you did it. So if you're feeling alone right now, good, that means you're on the right track. That means you're doing something different. That means you're not waiting around for permission. And let me tell you, once you learn how to be strong on your own, you become unstoppable. Because if you can push yourself when no one is watching, imagine what you can do when the world finally sees you. It's easy to stay comfortable. It's easy to wait for support, but easy doesn't lead to success. Discipline does. Persistence does. Starting alone does. So don't be afraid to start alone. Don't be afraid to be the only one chasing a vision nobody else can see. Because one day that vision will be your reality. And when that day comes, you won't just be successful. You'll be someone who proved to the world that nothing, not even isolation, could stop you. Get to work. Number 2, when no one believes in you, your belief must be enough. Let me tell you something important. If you're waiting for other people to believe in you before you start, you might never begin. If you're waiting for approval, for permission, for a round of applause before you take that first step, you might be waiting forever. And that's a dangerous way to live. Because here's the truth. Most people won't believe in you, not in the beginning. They won't see what you see. They won't understand your vision. They won't share your excitement. Not because they don't care, but because they don't have your mind, your perspective, your drive. And that's okay. It's not their job to believe in you. It's yours. See, too many people give up too soon because they don't get the support they expect. They tell a friend about their goal, and the friend shrugs it off. They tell family, and instead of excitement, they get doubt. Are you sure? That sounds risky. What if it doesn't work? And just like that, their confidence starts to shrink. They start second-guessing themselves. They start thinking, maybe they're right. But let me ask you, who do you think knows your potential better? Them or you? Who do you think understands what you're capable of? Some casual observer, or the person who wakes up every day with that fire in their heart? You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. You have to trust your own vision, even when others doubt it. Because if you don't, who will? If you let their doubts become your doubts, you will never get anywhere. And let me tell you something. Even the most successful people in the world had doubters. People told them they wouldn't make it. People laughed at their dreams. People questioned their decisions. But do you know what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who don't? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not intelligence. It's belief. The people who win in life are the ones who refuse to let other people's doubts dictate their actions. They are the ones who say, I don't care if you believe in me or not. I believe in me. They are the ones who get up every morning and do the work, even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering, even when no one understands. And let me be clear, this is not about arrogance. This is not about ignoring advice or shutting out feedback. This is about knowing that, at the end of the day, your future is in your hands. Not in the hands of critics, not in the hands of skeptics, in your hands. You don't need 100 people to believe in you. You don't need 10. You don't even need 1. You just need yourself. And that's the hardest part. Because when you're alone in your journey, when you have no support, no encouragement, no validation, it's easy to quit. It's easy to say, maybe this isn't for me. But that's the moment that matters most. That's the test. Will you give up because others don't see what you see? Or will you keep pushing because you know what's possible? Most people never reach their full potential because they let other people's doubts stop them. They let rejection discourage them. They let failure define them. But the ones who make it, they understand something powerful. Doubt from others means nothing if you don't accept it. Rejection is just redirection. Failure is just feedback. And belief, real belief, is the one thing that can carry you through all of it. So let me ask you, how strong is your belief? Is it strong enough to keep going when no one is cheering? Is it strong enough to push through rejection? Is it strong enough to stand alone? Because if it is, nothing can stop you. If it is, you don't need the approval of the crowd. You don't need the applause. You don't need the support. You just need to take the next step, and then another, and then another. Until one day the same people who doubted you will ask you how you did it. And on that day you'll smile. Not because you need their validation, but because you'll know that it was never about them. It was always about you. It was always about your belief. And that belief, that's what built everything. Number 3, failure is not the end. It's the foundation of success. Let's talk about failure. Most people fear it. They avoid it. They see it as the worst thing that can happen. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the end. It never was. It's the beginning. It's the foundation of success. It's the price you pay for growth. See, people have this idea that successful people never fail, that they somehow got everything right from the start, that they had it easy. But that's not true. Every single person who has ever achieved anything great has failed, and they have failed more times than they can count. The difference is, they didn't stop. They didn't let failure define them. They didn't let one bad chapter end the whole book. Failure is not proof that you're not good enough. It's proof that you're trying. It's proof that you're in the game. And let me tell you, I would rather fail 1,000 times than sit on the sidelines, afraid to even begin. Because failure is progress. Failure is learning. Failure is the process of becoming stronger, smarter, better. But here's the problem. Most people take failure personally. They see it as a sign that they're not cut out for success. They make one mistake and they give up. They hear one no and they walk away. And that's why so many people stay stuck. Not because they're not capable, but because they don't know how to handle failure. You have to change how you see failure. Instead of letting it discourage you, let it teach you. Instead of letting it break you, let it build you. When something doesn't work, don't take it as a sign to quit. Take it as feedback. Take it as a lesson. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do better? What can I learn from this? Because that's how you grow. That's how you get to the next level. And let me tell you, failure is temporary. It only becomes permanent if you quit. If you keep going, failure just becomes another step on the way to success. You look at any successful person, and I guarantee you, they have a list of failures longer than you can imagine. But they didn't stop. They took their failures, they learned from them, and they kept going, and eventually they won. Now I know it's not easy. I know failure hurts. I know it's frustrating when things don't work out. I know it's tough when you put in the effort and still come up short. But let me ask you, what's the alternative? Giving up, settling for a life you don't want, letting failure stop you from becoming who you were meant to be? No, that's not the answer. The answer is to get back up, to try again, to take what you've learned and use it. Because every failure brings you closer to success. But only if you keep moving. Only if you refuse to let it stop you. So the next time you fail, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning. See it as a step forward. Because that's exactly what it is. And one day you'll look back and you'll realize that every failure, every setback, every tough moment, it all added up. It all shaped you. It all made you into the person who was finally ready to win. Number 4, the struggles you endure alone build a strength no one can take away. You won't find your true strength without going through them. It's easy to get discouraged when things get tough, to feel like the world is against you. But it's during those moments, when you're facing challenges alone, that you're really building something that no one can ever take away from you. Your strength. Think about it for a second. When things are easy, when everything is falling into place, when you don't have to fight for what you want, that's when you're coasting. You're not pushing your limits. You're not growing. You're not becoming the person you're capable of being. It's when things get tough, when the road gets hard, that the real work begins. And it's during those times, when no one is around to help, that you have the chance to build an inner strength that will last a lifetime. Now I get it. When you're in the middle of a struggle, it's easy to feel isolated. It's easy to wonder why you have to go through things alone. But that's where the magic happens. That's where you start to realize just how strong you are. The strength you build when you're all on your own is different from the strength that comes from external validation. It's a strength that comes from deep inside of you. A strength that no one can take away. No matter what happens, there's something powerful about standing on your own, without anyone else to rely on. It forces you to dig deep. It forces you to find out what you're really made of. And when you do that, when you push through the tough times, when you keep moving forward even when no one else is around to encourage you, that's when you discover a strength that's unshakable. People often think that strength comes from external sources: money, support, validation, approval. But real strength doesn't come from anything outside of you. It comes from within. It comes from the resilience you build when you're facing obstacles on your own. And the more you face, the more you overcome, the stronger you become. Because when you can push through difficulty and come out on the other side, you realize that there's nothing you can't handle. But here's the thing, most people don't want to face struggle. They avoid it. They don't want to go through the hard stuff. They don't want to deal with the pain, the uncertainty, the fear, and because of that, they never grow. They stay stuck, never realizing their full potential, never discovering the strength that lies within them. They look at struggle as a bad thing, a sign that they're failing. But the truth is, struggle is where the growth happens. Struggle is where the strength is built. Think about a muscle. In order for a muscle to grow, it has to be challenged. It has to be pushed beyond its limits. It has to endure resistance. Without resistance, that muscle won't get stronger. The same thing happens with you. The more you endure, the more you push through, the stronger you get. And just like a muscle that's built through repeated effort, The strength you develop through struggle only grows over time. I want you to understand this. Struggles don't last forever. The tough times you're facing right now, they're temporary. They might feel like they're never going to end, but I promise you, they will. And when they do, you will have something inside of you that's stronger than it was before. You will have built a resilience that no one can take away. You will have built a strength that no one can knock down. So don't avoid the struggles. Don't wish for an easy path. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. You have everything you need to succeed inside of you right now. And the struggles you're going through right now, they're helping you build the strength you need to keep moving forward. They're helping you become the person you need to be to create the life you want. There's a saying that goes, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." It's true. The struggles, the setbacks, the hard times, they don't destroy you. They shape you. They mold you. They prepare you for bigger challenges. And they give you a strength that no one can ever take away. You see, life is full of ups and downs. There will be times when things are going great, and there will be times when things are difficult. The key is not to let the tough times define you. The key is to push through them, to learn from them, and to use them as stepping stones to build your strength. The struggles you endure alone are the ones that will make you unbreakable. When you face challenges without relying on anyone else, you prove to yourself that you can handle anything. You prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming whatever comes your way. And that's the kind of strength that stays with you for the rest of your life. You'll look back on the times when you felt like giving up, when you felt like you couldn't go on, and you'll realize something powerful. You didn't quit. You didn't give up. You kept going. And that's what makes you strong. And the best part, the more you face, the more you overcome, the more strength you build. No one can ever take that away from you. No one can ever take away the inner strength that you've developed through your struggles. So next time life gets tough, remember this: the struggle is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It's your opportunity. It's your chance to build strength that no one can take away. And that strength will carry you through whatever comes next. The road might be tough. The journey might be long. But I promise you, if you keep going, if you keep pushing through the struggles, you'll emerge stronger than ever before. And that strength will be something that no one, no circumstance, and no challenge can ever take from you. Number 5, facing fear alone forces you to become unbreakable. Fear, it's something we all experience. It's that feeling in your gut when you step into the unknown. It's the hesitation before making a big decision. It's the voice in your head telling you to turn back, to stay where it's safe, to avoid the risk. But let me tell you something. If you let fear control you, it will rob you of everything you're capable of becoming. Now here's the real test. Can you face fear alone? Can you push through when no one is there to hold your hand? When no one is there to reassure you? When the only voice you hear is your own? That's the moment when real strength is built. Because when you stand up to fear by yourself, you become unbreakable. Most people let fear dictate their choices. They wait for the fear to go away before they take action. They wait until they feel ready. But let me tell you, fear never disappears. You don't get rid of fear by waiting. You get rid of fear by acting in spite of it. And when you do that enough times, fear loses its grip on you. Now I know what you're thinking. What if I fail? What if I make the wrong move? What if I'm not strong enough? Listen, fear thrives on doubt. It gets bigger when you hesitate. It grows when you hold back. But when you push forward, when you move despite the fear, you take away its power. You show yourself that fear doesn't have to control you. The truth is, no one else can face your fears for you. You have to do it alone. You have to look fear in the face and say, I'm moving forward anyway. Because if you don't, you'll always be stuck. You'll always wonder what could have been, if only you had been brave enough to take that first step. Now let's talk about the people who never let fear stop them. The ones who rise above. The ones who achieve greatness. Do you think they never felt fear? Of course they did. But the difference is, they didn't let it hold them back. They understood that fear is part of the process. They faced it head on. And because of that, they became unbreakable. You see, fear tests you. It challenges you. It tries to see if you're really serious about your goals, your dreams, your future. It asks, Do you really want this? And if you back down, it wins. But if you stand firm, if you move forward in spite of the fear, you win. And let me tell you something. Every time you overcome fear, you build confidence. Every time you step through fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes next. You start to realize that fear is just an illusion. It's just a wall made of smoke. The only way to see that is to walk through it. Now the real question is, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to face fear alone? Because if you are, something incredible happens. You become someone who can't be shaken. You become someone who doesn't back down. You become unbreakable. The moment you decide that fear will no longer control your life is the moment you take back your power. It's the moment you step into your true strength. And when that happens, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not failure, can stop you again. Number 6, your silent efforts will one day echo loudly. Let me tell you something important. Hard work in silence is never wasted. The effort you put in, the sacrifices you make, the long hours when no one is watching, they all add up. And one day they will echo so loudly that the world won't be able to ignore you. But here's the challenge. Can you keep going even when no one notices? Can you keep putting in the work when there's no applause, no recognition, no reward in sight? That's the real test, because most people give up too soon. They work hard for a while, but when they don't see results, they stop. They think their effort isn't paying off. They think no one cares. But let me tell you, the results are coming. The rewards are building. Success takes time, and the quiet work you do today will create the loud impact you want tomorrow. Think about the most successful people in the world. Do you think they started at the top? No, they started just like you, working when no one was looking, putting in the effort when no one believed in them, showing up every single day when it felt like nothing was changing. They built their skills in the dark. They grew their strength in silence. And then one day, the world took notice. See, success isn't loud in the beginning. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up overnight. It grows in the shadows, in the unseen work, in the discipline of doing the right things day after day. And then, all at once, people start to notice. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you had it easy. But they didn't see the late nights. They didn't see the early mornings. They didn't see the times you wanted to quit, but didn't. And that's what separates those who win from those who give up. Most people can't handle the silence. They need instant results. They need validation. But if you can work without needing praise, if you can push through the quiet seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, you'll set yourself up for a success so big, so undeniable, that no one will be able to ignore it. The secret to long-term success is patience. It's understanding that the work you do today won't always give you results tomorrow, but it will give you results. Your effort compounds, your discipline builds, your consistency stacks up, day after day, month after month, year after year. The question is, are you willing to wait? Are you willing to work in the dark, knowing that one day all of it will pay off? Because here's the truth. One day people will ask you how you did it. They'll want to know your secret. They'll want the shortcut, the trick, the easy way, and you'll know the answer. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was the quiet, disciplined work you did when no one was watching. Keep going. Keep pushing. Because your silent efforts will one day echo so loudly that the world won't be able to ignore you. Number 7, you become dangerous when you learn to fight your battles alone. There comes a moment in life when you realize no one is coming to save you. No one is going to fight your battles for you. And when that moment comes, you have two choices. You can break, or you can rise. You can crumble under the weight of your struggles, or you can stand tall and face them head on. But let me tell you something. When you learn to fight your battles alone, you become dangerous. You become someone who can't be shaken, can't be controlled, can't be stopped. Because once you stop relying on others to rescue you, once you stop looking for a way out and start looking for a way through, you develop a strength that few people will ever understand. Most people spend their whole lives looking for someone to lean on. They need constant reassurance. They need support before they take action. They need someone to push them, to motivate them, to guide them every step of the way. But what happens when no one is there? What happens when the only voice you hear is your own? That's when you find out who you really are. That's when you discover what you're truly capable of. Life is going to test you. It's going to throw challenges your way that you never saw coming. It's going to put you in situations where you feel lost, where you feel like giving up. And in those moments, you're going to realize you are your only way out. Your strength, your mindset, your decisions, they will determine whether you sink or swim. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but isn't it good to have support? Shouldn't we rely on others sometimes? Listen to me. There is nothing wrong with having support. There is nothing wrong with surrounding yourself with good people. But the problem is, too many people depend on others to do the work for them. They wait for someone to fix their problems. They wait for the perfect circumstances. And in that waiting, they waste time. You have to be willing to fight your battles alone. You have to be willing to pick yourself up when no one is there to help you. Because if you can do that, if you can push forward without needing someone to hold your hand, then you become unstoppable. You become someone who doesn't wait for motivation. You create it. You don't wait for an opportunity. You build it. And here's what happens when you develop that mindset. You stop fearing failure. You stop fearing rejection. You stop fearing what people think. Because you realize you don't need anyone's permission to be great. You don't need anyone's approval to chase your dreams. You don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. That kind of confidence, that kind of self-reliance, that's what makes you dangerous. That's what separates the strong from the weak. Because most people need external validation. They need constant encouragement. But when you learn to push yourself, when you learn to keep going even when the odds are against you, that's when you become a force to be reckoned with. You see, the world respects people who can stand on their own. The world follows those who don't break under pressure, who don't fold when things get tough. And if you can develop that mindset, if you can become the kind of person who doesn't wait for help, who doesn't need reassurance, who doesn't quit just because the road is hard, then nothing can stop you. Here's my message to you. Start fighting your battles alone. Start relying on yourself. Start building the kind of strength that no one can take away from you. Because once you do that, once you prove to yourself that you don't need anyone to keep moving forward, you become dangerous, you become powerful, you become unstoppable. Number 8, struggle alone, succeed alone. Then the world will follow you. There's something you need to understand about success. It's a lonely road in the beginning. When you start chasing your dreams, when you commit to changing your life, you're going to struggle alone. No one will clap for you. No one will cheer you on. In fact, most people won't even believe in you. But here's the truth. If you have the courage to struggle alone, if you have the discipline to keep going, when no one is watching, you will succeed alone. And once you succeed, suddenly, everything changes. The same people who doubted you, who ignored you, who didn't take you seriously, they will start paying attention. You see, the world only follows results. People don't respect effort until they see success. They don't care how hard you've worked until you've made it. That's why you can't depend on approval. You can't wait for support. You can't expect people to believe in you before you prove yourself. Most people don't understand this. They want recognition before they've earned it. They want encouragement before they've put in the work. And when they don't get it, they quit. They say, no one believes in me, so maybe I'm not good enough. But listen, your belief has to come first. Your discipline has to come first. Because if you're waiting for someone to validate your journey, you'll be waiting forever. Let me tell you something, greatness is built in silence. The late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the discipline, no one sees that part, and they're not supposed to. Because success isn't about making noise. It's about making progress. You have to be willing to struggle alone. You have to be willing to wake up every day and push yourself, even when no one is watching. You have to be willing to put in the hours, to master your craft, to keep moving forward without needing praise or approval. And when you do that, when you build yourself up in the dark, when you grind in silence, something incredible happens. Success comes. And when success comes, people start paying attention. They start asking how you did it. They start following you. But here's the thing. You didn't do it for them. You didn't do it for applause. You did it because you refused to settle. You did it because you knew you were capable of more. Most people will never understand the struggle. They won't see the sacrifices. They won't see the failures, but they will see the success. And once they see it, they will follow. That's why you have to stay focused. That's why you have to keep going, even when it feels like no one cares. Because the truth is, the world doesn't care about effort. It cares about results. Let them doubt you. Let them ignore you. Let them think you won't make it. And then when the time is right, let your success speak so loudly that they have no choice but to listen. Struggle alone. Succeed alone. And then watch how the world follows you. Number 9. Your life is your responsibility. No excuses. There comes a time in life when you have to stop looking for someone to blame. You have to stop making excuses. You have to stop waiting for things to change on their own. Because the truth is, your life is your responsibility. No one else is going to do it for you. Now that might be hard to hear, but it's the truth. If you want success, if you want a better life, if you want to be happy, it's on you. Not your parents, not your boss, not the government. You. Too many people spend their lives pointing fingers. I didn't have the right opportunities. No one ever supported me. Life isn't fair. But let me tell you something. Life doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't care where you started. It doesn't care what you've been through. Life only responds to action. You see, we live in a world where it's easy to blame. It's easy to look at people who have made it and say, well, they had better circumstances. But what about the people who came from nothing and still made it? What about the ones who had every reason to quit, but didn't? What's their excuse? The truth is, we all have challenges. We all have obstacles. But the difference between successful people and everyone else is simple. Successful people take full responsibility for their lives. They don't wait. They don't complain. They don't blame. They decide. They act. They move forward, no matter what. Now, maybe life has been tough for you. Maybe you've been through things that no one else understands. But guess what? You still have a choice. You can sit in your excuses, or you can stand up and take control, because no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to care more about your life than you do. And that's a powerful realization, because the moment you take full responsibility, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. And instead, you start taking action. Now, some people don't want to hear this. They want to believe that their circumstances are holding them back. But let me ask you something. Are your circumstances stronger than your will? Is your past more powerful than your future? The answer is no. Your will, your mindset, your decisions, those are the things that shape your life. And the moment you take full responsibility, you take back your power. So here's my message to you. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop blaming the past. Own your life. Take control. Because the second you do, you'll realize something. You were never stuck. You were just waiting for permission to move forward. And the only permission you ever needed was your own. Number 10, once you conquer life alone, nothing can stop you again. There's something powerful about facing life alone. It forces you to grow. It forces you to rely on yourself. And once you go through that, once you conquer life alone, nothing can stop you again. Most people are afraid of being alone. They're afraid of struggling without help. They're afraid of standing on their own. But here's what they don't understand. When you learn to stand alone, you become unshakable. When you stop depending on others to push you forward, you become unstoppable. You see, when you go through life depending on people, on their approval, their validation, their support, you give them control. If they leave, you feel lost. If they doubt you, you start doubting yourself. And if they don't help, you feel like you can't move forward. That's a dangerous way to live. But when you face life alone, when you learn to push yourself, when you find the strength to keep going without anyone cheering you on, that's when real power comes. Because now, nothing can break you. Now no one can hold you back. Think about it. If you've already built yourself up from nothing, if you've already overcome failure, if you've already fought your battles alone, what's left to fear? You've already been through the worst. You've already proven to yourself that you don't need anyone to save you. And that's what makes you dangerous. Most people won't do this. They'll wait. They'll hope someone comes along to make things easier. They'll complain that they don't have enough support. But if you choose to face life head on, if you choose to stop waiting and start doing, if you decide that no matter what happens, you will keep going, then there is nothing life can throw at you that you can't handle. See, once you conquer life alone, you don't fear losing people. You don't fear failure. You don't fear struggle, because you know you can handle it. You've been there before, and you've made it through. And once you've done it once, you can do it again. That's why the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who built themselves up, the ones who didn't have a helping hand, the ones who had to figure things out on their own. Because when you go through that, you develop a kind of strength that can't be taken away. So if you're alone right now, if you feel like no one believes in you, if you're struggling without support, good, this is your training ground. This is where you build the kind of strength that will carry you through the rest of your life. Because once you conquer life alone, once you prove to yourself that you don't need permission, approval, or validation, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not setbacks, not even fear. Because you've already faced it all and you came out stronger. And when you reach that point, when you become the kind of person who doesn't break, who doesn't quit, who doesn't depend on anyone else to make things happen, then you'll know you are truly unstoppable. The road to success is never a straight line. It's full of bumps, detours, and sometimes even failures. But if you keep going, if you never quit, that's when success finds you. Now I hope after hearing this, you're feeling a little stronger and a little more ready to take on the world. The struggles you faced alone, the moments when you thought you couldn't go on, they've all been shaping you into someone powerful. Once you learn to face life head on and keep moving forward no matter what, nothing will stand in your way. So remember this, the toughest moments are your biggest teachers. Embrace them, own them, and use them to build the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for watching today. I hope you now see that no matter where you start, no matter how many times you fall, you've got everything it takes to rise again and make it happen. Keep pushing, keep striving, and know this, nothing can stop you once you've learned to conquer it all on your own. Take care, and I'll see you next time.